Ladies and gentlemen, boys and pearls, welcome to the 4th episode of the Bearded Purl Podcast. I'm your host Caleb, and I'm coming to you from my home in Kohler, Wisconsin, where I live with my partner Justin and our two cats, Buster and Daffodil. Today is Sunday, July 5th, 2020, and this is a podcast about the fiber arts with a little bit of baking, gardening, and cooking thrown in between. I want to welcome all returning viewers and thank all new viewers. It's been a wonderful couple of weeks since we've last chatted, and I can't wait to share what we've got going on with you this episode. Before we begin, I want to shout out to one of our viewers. Her grandson is learning to knit, and his name is Mason, so congratulations, Mason. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what you make, so welcome to the club, buddy. Today's episode will contain some catching up, some finished objects, works in progress, and half-finished objects, otherwise known as FOs, whips, and hoes, some pearls gone wild and stash acquisition, some shop news. I'll talk about some Ravelry stuff, and a make-along that I'm going to start this month. So let's dive right into it. It's been a busy couple of weeks here. We've been doing a lot of stuff outside. It's officially summer here in Wisconsin, which means the weather is hot and humid, and our summers here are pretty short, so we only get about 3 or 4 good months of summer weather, probably 3, before it's cold and snowy again. But so we gotta enjoy it while it lasts, and we last week went strawberry picking, which is an annual tradition that Justin and I do every year, and we went early Saturday morning and picked, I think it was about 24 and a half or 25 pounds of strawberries between the both of us, so we each got a flat, filled it up. It was really great this year. They were doing really well with social distancing, so they weren't requiring you to wear masks just because it's hot and you're bending over and it might pose as a safety risk, but those that could and those that were comfortable wearing masks they were spacing everybody out in between rows, so there was social distancing in mind, and so we had picked all of our strawberries probably within a half an hour, 45 minutes between the both of us, and we like to dehydrate strawberries, we like to eat some fresh, and then make jam out of some of them. We every once in a while we'll freeze some, but we find that we really don't use a lot of frozen berries much, so we typically like to dry them and make them, like I said, into jam or eat them fresh. And I did give some to my parents and some to a few friends, because for 2 people, 24 and a half pounds of strawberries is a lot. So to dry them, I slice them a little over 1/4 of an inch. I like them a little on the thicker side. They take a little bit longer, but I feel as though they retain a little bit more of their color and flavor a little bit better. Sometimes if they're too thin, they get too dry and brittle and almost burned in the dehydrator, but after they're done drying, I like to store them in plastic deli containers or mason jars, whatever I have available on hand. So this is one of the batches this year. We ended up doing 2 large batches, and the others fit in a larger container. But so we just slice them and dehydrate them, and then we just snack on them throughout the year, add them to granola, even on top of yogurt. I typically don't rehydrate them for anything, but yeah, they're just a fun, super nice snack to have on hand, and it's a great way to preserve sort of the fruit that's in season and have that awesome summer fresh ripe berry flavor all winter long when we can't get the really nice strawberries. And we also made jam, and I made 2 batches this year. One batch I actually made with honey, and it's a star thistle honey from a local beekeeper to us, and we always buy a bunch of their different honeys, and it's really interesting to see the different types and flavors and kind of profiles that they have. So we did strawberry and star thistle jam, and really excited to see how that kind of holds up. It tasted really good. It was kind of interesting. You can definitely taste the honey flavor, but it complements the strawberries really nicely, so I think that's going to be a good one. I don't know if I'll do it every time I make jam, But it was fun to try, and a great way to use up honey, because we usually buy it in the quart jars, so sometimes it takes us a while to cycle through it. But honey actually doesn't go bad, so it's not like we have to use it before it expires or anything. And then I made a batch with regular sugar, and so we've been doing the low or no sugar type jams and jellies, just because I don't like muddying up the fruit with a bunch of sugar and unnecessary stuff that you have to add into it. And some of those recipes for jams are kind of frightening, where you almost have more sugar than you do fruit, but it's something, like I said, that we've been getting away from, and doing a lot of the low or no sugar varieties and recipes, which has been really great. And so Justin and I made the strawberry jam and dehydrated the strawberries, and it was a lot of fun. And then a neighbor of ours, we were talking with her while she was walking with the kids about 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about bread and bread baking, and she brought us some of her starter that her mother-in-law gave her a while ago, and I think it's about 20 years old or more. So she's had it for a few years, and her mother-in-law had it for a while, and so she shared some of that starter with us. So we've officially jumped on the sourdough baking bandwagon, which has been fun. And I love to bake and love to bake bread, and had a sourdough starter going many years ago and kept it alive for a while, and then just totally forgot about it and ended up basically killing it. And so it wasn't something that I wanted to kind of keep up and maintain with, so I stopped. But so Liz brought over some of the sourdough starter, and we've been doing that. It's been fun to kind of pinpoint and tweak the recipe a little bit to suit our needs and what we kind of want out of the loaf. And so we've made a couple of loaves, and tonight I'm going to make a batch of overnight sourdough cinnamon rolls for tomorrow morning, so that's going to be super fun. Haven't experimented much outside of the bread realm, but we might try things like pancakes, and I know that when you have to feed the starter, it in essence kind of doubles what you have, so we'll have to start coming up with creative ways to use that up. I know there's things like crackers and all sorts of fun like muffins, and so I'll definitely be sharing those recipes, and I'll share the recipe for the bread that we have, or that we've been using, down below in the show notes. And you can find the show notes on Ravelry. I usually link it in the description box below, along with anything else that I mentioned in the podcast. If with Ravelry's new update, the show notes aren't something that's accessible to you, feel free to send me an email at thebeardedpurl@gmail.com. I'll have that in the description box below as well, and I can certainly send you the show notes that way. I want to be able to make sure that anyone has accessibility to this stuff, and I know that the Ravelry platform that's since changed from the old Ravelry is a little difficult to use for some, and is actually causing some problems. And I have to admit, it was a little kind of a harsh change with all that bright white background, but I'm adjusting to it a little bit, and I guess it's just something, one of those new formats that you kind of have to get used to. But if it's causing issues for some folks, that's definitely a thing that Ravelry needs to address, and I hope that they do. And I hope that they're actively working on it to make it more accessible to those who are having some issues. But like I said, all of our show notes and anything else I talk about in the podcast will be on the Ravelry group. We also have an Instagram at the Bearded Purl, and there's a Ravelry group for us as well, which is the Bearded Purl Podcast. And yeah, so that's basically what we've been up to. We've been doing some stuff outside. The garden is kind of kicking off in full swing, so we've been harvesting a ton of lettuce. Our peas are just starting to ripen, so we've been picking a couple of those. Haven't really had a ton that are ready yet, but I would anticipate in the next week or so we'll be able to pick a good bunch to have for dinner. And then what else is ready? All of our herbs that we've been using. One thing that has been terribly frustrating is we planted a bunch of potatoes, and every once in a while we will find potatoes in totally random spots because chipmunks are digging them up, and they nibble on them a little bit and just leave the whole potato. So I found one the other day in my neighbor's lawn There was one in the back patio. There's one in the front of our house. And so that's kind of irritating and something that I am not appreciating, chipmunks. So we have to try and use some sort of natural chipmunk deterrent or repellent. I have one that I use for deer and rabbits, and it's got like peppermint extracts and oils and garlic, and it's a bunch of natural stuff because I don't like to use chemicals or like insecticides and pesticides and things like that that aren't natural, just in case animals were to get into it. And I don't want to do anything that takes away from a lot of the local pollinators. So try and use essential oils and naturally derived deterrents as much as possible. But so we've been busy in the garden getting all that stuff taken care of, and things are starting to get ready, which is great because we haven't been visiting the farmers market this year due to COVID, and just keeping safe social distancing guidelines in mind. And so we might try and venture out to the farmers market one of these days in the next few weeks. But until then, we're just going to rely on our own little garden to sort of see us through. But with that, we've been doing a ton of sewing, which brings me into my first, I guess, finished object. We've been doing a lot of quilting and sewing for the shop. And so one super fun quilt that I started is called Antique Lace, and it's a pattern by Missouri Star Quilt Company, and it's really the only sewing thing that I have to share, and then the rest of the stuff is knitting. But so I love lemons, and I love anything lemon themed, and I found this really cool jelly roll that was all different lemon prints, and the block itself is pretty big and makes a decent sized quilt, so it's kind of like a lap or a throw size, and so it takes a bunch of half square triangles, and I'll show you kind of the fun prints that I chose. I only chose 9 prints out of the whole jelly roll, and I tried to get the ones that showcased most of the lemons and kind of tied the colors together. But so here's the first one. So just a fun lemon print, and I used like a white Kona as the background. So there's that one. I use this lemon slices, fun lemon leaves, and we actually have 2 lemon trees outside that we bring in the winter when the weather's cooler, because they absolutely would not survive in Wisconsin. And I bought this one from, it's called fastgrowingtrees.com, and it arrived and it was really nice looking, and then transplanted it, and I think it just had a little bit of a shock, and every single leaf fell off of it, and I for sure thought it was dead. But a couple of days later, there was a ton of new growth on it, and it's been about 2.5 weeks since I transplanted it into its kind of permanent pot, and there's so much growth on it, so it's fantastic. It's blooming again, and really happy that that one kind of bounced back, because citrus trees are not cheap, and I love, like I said, everything lemon and lemon themed, and I'm excited to see that tree doing really well. So then there's this fun little gingham. There's another lemon print, another gingham, and then another lemon. So a couple of these prints are the same, just with a light and a dark background. And so all of those come together to make this really fun block, which is huge. So this is the finished block. It's 20.5 inches by 20.5 inches square, and we'll finish at 20 inches. And so you have 3 of these blocks, and then, 3 of these blocks side by side, so 9 total. And then what ends up happening is, you can kind of see in the center here, there's this fun little sort of circular motif. It ends up creating secondary blocks out of where all of these blocks join in the corners here. So super excited to see how this turns out. I think it'll just be a fun kind of summer quilt, and like I said, we've been doing a ton of sewing. So this is one quilt that we've been working on. Justin and I have been doing a couple of other quilts and finishing them up, and we found a lady that lives about a half an hour away, and she does long arm quilting, and so we're really excited to be able to find someone that does that kind of locally and finish up some of our sewing and quilting projects. And so that is it for my sewing projects, other than a bag which I have to save to share for later. Let's dive right into knitting. So, Jody Brown of the Grocery Girls and Mrs. Brown's Bags released a pattern a while ago. It's pretty new. It's called the Slipped Rib Hat. There's the pattern. Super fun. It's just a 2-page pattern. Super excited about patterns that are easy to follow, super simple, that have a great wow factor. And so this uses a skein of mohair and a skein of DK, or if you don't like mohair or it's a little itchy for you, you could certainly use like a suri alpaca. So I am using these 2 colors. It's a little tricky to see because it's kind of fuzzy, but it's a super fun slipped kind of rib motif there. Really easy to memorize, and creates a really, really nice fabric, super soft. I am knitting the medium size, which is for heads measuring circumference size 20 to 23 inches. My head is a 22-inch head. I got a big noggin, and I'm using Dyed by Dell's DK in the Chris's Pines colorway, and that's the darker green. And Dell's is Vincent of the Les Garçons duo, Vincent and Max. So I'm using Chris's Pines green in the DK, which is a really, really soft, super nice superwash merino. And then I'm using a green mohair silk, and that is this guy. So I'm using these 2 colors separately, and then together they're knitting up to create this super fun hat. I don't know what color I'm going to do for the pom-pom. Probably a neutral, just kind of tone it down a little. And like I said, that is the Slipped Rib Hat by Jody Brown. Super fun pattern. Definitely will be making another one of these. I think it'll be a great gift knitting. And yeah, so there's how it's turning out. Super fun. Let's see if I can try it on. I know a few of you had asked last time I showed off a couple of hats if I could try them on. So it's still on the needles, but maybe you'll be able to see what it looks like. So yeah, really soft, super nice. I feel like it'll be really, really warm in the winter. You can see the pattern a little bit better once it's on. I like it a little bit nicer. But yeah, so that's that hat pattern. Really enjoying it. It's a fun, quick, memorizable knit, and that takes me into my second project, which is the Fleur Shawl by Espace Tricot. Another super fun pattern that uses this one uses suri alpaca as the contrast, but you could use mohair if you had it on hand, and it uses DK and the suri alpaca. It's a triangular shawl, and I am using La Bien Aimée, which is new to me. I have been a long-time admirer of La Bien Aimée, and I decided to kind of bite the bullet and buy their kit. And so I bought one of the Espace Tricot kits for this shawl pattern, and so this is what the yarn looks like in the skein. This is the DK. It's a superwash merino, 252 yards, 230 meters, and the colorway is Grello. And so it gradates kind of from this amazing gold and gray, and there's these blue speckles, a little bit of brown. Really, really great, fun yarn. And my contrast is a really, really deep navy suri alpaca. So it's really hard to pick up, but it's so deep blue. I feel like there's a good color representation of it. It's such a deep blue, it's almost black, and I don't know if it's the fact that it's such a dark color, or maybe it's that It's kind of a new fiber texture for me, but you also have to hold the two strands together. So I'm just going from the inside and the outside of my caked ball. So you need to hold two strands together, and doing that with such a dark color and kind of a fluffy, sticky fiber is a little bit challenging to knit with. But I'm loving the result, so it's kind of one of those things where I have to have really good light or be knitting outside to do the contrast rows. But here is my shawl so far. Let's get that strand out of the way. So every couple of color changes, you have a bobble row, and these bobbles are super fun, but I'm now into my second ball of the background or the main color of that grello, and there's only one or two more bobble rows involved, so I'm about halfway done with the shawl. It's super fun, totally enjoyable knit, and I will absolutely make another one of these, maybe as a gift knit, in more, probably a more neutral color. This is a little bit out of the box for me. I typically don't do a lot of yellows, but I just love the way this is knitting up, and it's going to be super fun to wear. I think the bobbles are a great texture. I'm all about texture in knitting and different like pattern texture, yarn texture, and the colors to kind of help play on that. So sometimes you can have things like simple yarns and really textured patterns, and it's a great pairing. So I think that's the fun about crafting, is you just gotta play with it and find what you really enjoy and like to work with. But yeah, so I'm knitting that, really enjoying it, super fun. Working on this with my friend Kathy, and Kathy and I are the ones who did the kind of friendly craft along to keep ourselves motivated. So we knit the sweater together, the throwover sweater, at the same time, and we do kind of weekly check-ins and see where we're both at with it and kind of keep on top of the projects, which is fun. But so we've been working on the fleur shawl together, and Kathy is doing hers out of a sort of orangey peach and a pink Surrey alpaca, and super fun. Love all of the combos with them. I think they're really great, and am super excited to finish those two projects up in the next week or so. Definitely I'll be able to get the hat done, and I think I might either add it to my gift pile or Justin will steal it, so whatever happens first. I tend to make a lot of hats that I like, and either add them to the gift pile or add them to my own pile, and Justin steals them for himself. So that is it for all of my works in progress, and now kind of moving on to a super fun gift package, Pearls Gone Wild segment. Those of you who are familiar with the podcast and fabulous owner of Whatnot is Kathy. She has an Etsy shop, and she does a lot of amazing crafting. So she knits, she does some sewing, she does beautiful color work, or watercolor painting. I've got knitting on the brain. So her shop is Whatnot. She has an amazing podcast, beautiful Australian maker, and I can't wait to share all of the awesome stuff that she sent. So she had an update a while back, and I went a little overboard, and so the first couple of things that I bought are for us, and then she sent some fun things for giveaways for the podcast. So the first thing that I got were these awesome rope bowls, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it. You'd probably put, fruit, yarn, tchotchkes, whatever you want in it, just set it on your coffee table. Super fun. Great size, and they have a couple of different strips of fabric in different colors. So I got this one and this one. Super fun. Absolutely love them. We'll probably be getting another one or two at some point. And they've got these super fun little leather tags of Kathy's with her cute little logo. But really, really well made. Amazing, amazing little bowl. So I can't wait to put that guy to use. And we'll probably buy one or two as gifts to give away. So those are super fun. Kathy does an amazing job. She's also a yarn dyer as well. So I bought 2 mini sets, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with them, but I love the colors, and I got bit by the mini skein bug recently, so I have a couple of mini skein sets to share with you today. But so the first one I got is this super fun, kind of bright, summery, springy tonals, and a couple of them have speckles. And all of these are superwash merino nylon in a really great 2-ply, 20-gram minis, which I feel like is a really great size. I feel sometimes the smaller 10-gram minis might be a little small to do matching things with or as an addition in a shawl, but the 20-gram minis, there's plenty to do. So each set has 5 20-gram minis at 80 meters each, and it's an 85 merino, 15% nylon. Super fun. So that's the other one that I got. So here are the 2 mini sets. Super great yarn, amazingly soft, beautifully dyed. So those are the other goodies that I got from Kathy. And then in the package, she sent amazing Australian treats, and she sent a pack of Tim Tams. So really excited to try those, and yes, we probably will be trying the Tim Tam Slam, for those of you that are familiar with Tim Tams. It's like a chocolate-coated biscuit cookie type treat, and you nibble the corners off of it, and you dip it into hot tea, and you kind of slurp your tea through the cookie, and it's kind of a fun little treat there. But so she sent amazing Australian treats and yarn too, and she sent these little gift packages as well. Tea, a little kangaroo magnet, a pin, and there's a stitch marker in there hiding behind the tea. It's a little cat. So super fun, cute little thank you package. And then from Kathy, I also got a couple of pins. I'm an enamel pin junkie. I love to collect them and put them on this giant tote bag that I have. So the first one that I got is this little bumblebee, and it is called Be Kind, is what's on the wings. And so I actually got 2 of these. One of these I'm going to give away. The other one that I got is a super fun yarn ball tree with like rainbow colors. And then the last one I got is called, or the little words on it say squish more yarn, which is absolutely true. Everyone should be squishing more yarn. It's a little tricky to see through the cellophane wrapping, but like I said, some of these I might use as gifts, so I'm going to keep them wrapped up. But really fun enamel pins, and Kathy has amazing stuff in her shop. She has a shop update coming up, I believe August 1st, and it's going to be loaded with amazing goodies. So definitely check out Kathy's shop, and that's Whatnot. She sent some great gifts too. This is a new to me dyer. It's called Lully Yarn, and this is a 4-ply sock yarn, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 100 grams, and 400 meters. And it is in this super fun green and kind of it reminds me sort of like mint chocolate chip ice cream. These greens and taupes and browns, but I can't wait to knit this up. I think I might use this to make a pair of socks. But super fun. Kathy was really generous. And then it even comes with some stitch markers. And that's Lully Yarn, which I believe is an Australian dyer. Yeah, super fun. And then something that's kind of local to Kathy is Bendigo Woolen Mills, and she sent this amazing ball. It's 200 grams of a really, really soft heathered wool, and let's see, there's 400 meters on here, so definitely a decent amount to do a fun project with, and it's in one of my favorite colors, that sort of burgundy raspberry, and it's heathered with sort of a lighter blue. that you can see in there. But really fun, Australian wool, all of these great gifts. Thank you so much, Kathy. Absolutely fabulous. So there's that. So I can't wait to use that and put that to good use. Then Kathy sent a few skeins of yarn as giveaway items for the podcast, and it's going to be really hard to give these away because they are beautifully dyed. So this is the first one. It's a 100-gram skein, 357 yards, 326 meters of a 4-ply sock yarn. It's 80% Highland wool and 20% nylon. Amazing, amazing colors. So the beautiful rich red and gray and awesome speckles. Kathy's an amazing dyer. See those rich colors in there. So I can't wait to share that with everyone. Like I said, it's going to be really hard to give that away, but it's beautiful. So whoever gets it, I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be awesome. And then another one that speaks to me and my love of greens and gray is this one that Kathy sent. It's another beautiful 85% merino, 15% nylon. So soft, so soft. But these gorgeous deep emerald greens, speckles of blue and kind of chartreuse on this gray background. Amazing, amazing colors. Super soft yarn. Can't wait to share that with someone as well. Super fun. The next thing that I got are 2 more mini sets. Another new to me dyer out of New Hampshire in the United States on the East Coast is Olangra. I believe I'm saying that right. But a super fun mini skein set. And these mini skeins are 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 93 yards, and these are also 20-gram minis. I'm loving this size. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I just love that there's 20 grams to be able to do some fun things with. So I might combine them into a shawl, or I thought about even using them as a yoke in a sweater, kind of picking and choosing. I bought a really fun rainbow mini skein set from Chelsea Pearls a while back that I think I might pull a couple of colors from to combine with some of these. But so this is the first one that I got. And this is Lisa. Lisa has an Etsy shop where she has a bunch of beautiful yarn. And then this is the second set. And this is the November Skies set. So, beautiful yarns, great speckles, awesome tonal colors. And those are the 2 sets together. So between Lisa's yarn and Kathy's yarn, I feel like I am, I guess now, a mini skein or a mini set collector. So let's see, get them all together. Lots of super fun colors. Great for a lot of scrappy projects. I know there's like a hibernation throw, even the granny striped blanket is another fun project that I might work on, or maybe a fun shawl. I don't know. I'm a habitual yarn buyer. To me, buying yarn and using it are 2 totally different hobbies, which is how I ended up with this back here. So yeah, super fun and excited to add those 2 to my stash. And then Wound Up Fiber Arts, which I have been spinning some of her fiber. That is Trisha Cook. She has updates every Saturday, I believe, at 9 a.m. Eastern. She had another update last week, and I couldn't help myself and bought this amazing, deep, rich fiber. It's on her Super Sock Base, which is 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon, and it's in these gorgeous deep blues and sort of earthy oranges and greens and chartreuse, and so just love it. The fiber prep is amazing on this fiber. Every once in a while she has an update with some of her hand spun in it, so certainly check them out and keep an eye on her updates. But super fun, that navy against that yellow. I like that this is a little bit deeper and darker than the other one that I was spinning up, which was that beautiful lighter robin's egg. It's I believe the color was nest egg. But yeah, super fun. So excited to try and spin this guy. Not sure what I'm going to do with it. I think I might do this one on its own and not ply it with anything and just ply it back on itself. I like to do a chain ply or a Navajo ply, which is where you take and spin the whole amount of fiber that you have into one single and then ply it back on itself, kind of like a giant crochet chain or like a slip knot. So you start it and then you have 3 strands of yarn coming from the single itself. So it's a super fun way to use up the yarn, or I should say the single that you've spun without having a bunch of leftovers. Sometimes when I spin, I can be wildly inconsistent and have one bobbin full of yarn that I've spun that has like 400 meters, and then maybe the next one that I spin that I want to ply it with has only 380 meters. So it's a great way to make sure that you use up all that you've got. And that is fiber from Trisha, like I said, of Wound Up Fiber Arts, and that's the colorway Left Unsaid. So super fun. Got some fiber stuck to the card there. And what else? Oh, Sandy, who is by the lakeside, has a wonderful podcast. A Canadian maker, has had a few updates where she is now doing some fun like leather goods, and I showed off one of the amazing tote bags in a beautiful green color that I bought from her, and she was doing a sort of pre-order for the tote bags again, and I was kind of bummed out that I missed out on a gray one, so I was happy to be able to catch a gray one on that update. And here it is. So really fun tote. I've been able to stuff a ton of things in it. It's got a great kind of rustic interior. I have a bunch of stuff in there right now. But yeah, love these bags. They're super amazing, and in one of my favorite colors, which is kind of a nice neutrally gray. It's a little on the warmer side, but love it. Absolutely love it. And then with that order, I got a zipper pouch of hers, which has this super fun kind of herringbone denim in the center, and it's stamped with her really cute logo, which is a scissors. And this has just a heavyweight cotton interior and a pocket, but this pouch has my checkbook in it. Does anyone even write checks anymore, or is that just me? Call me old-fashioned. But everyone needs a check now and then. Justin always asks me to leave him a check if like the piano's getting tuned, or we have our oven is kind of on the fritz. And so we had a repairman out a couple of days ago, and we paid with a check. So it's good to have on hand, ladies and gentlemen. But this is the super fun zipper pouch. Great for notions or checkbooks. But yeah, I've got that in my new gray tote. And again, that's Sandy by the Lakeside. Super fun to add this to my collection. And then a couple of really great podcasts we've been watching lately. Some of our absolute favorites are the Fiber Hustle podcast with Chip and Aaron. Apparently I can't talk today, guys. I've had a lot of caffeine before I started recording, so I've got lots of energy, and all of my words are coming out faster than my thoughts. But we watched the Fiber Hustle podcast with Chip and Aaron. Chip is primarily a quilter, and Aaron is a knitter, crocheter, crafter. Really fun, very enjoyable to watch and listen to. Another one is The Fat Squirrel, which is a personal absolute favorite of mine. I've been watching Amy Beth for years. Amy Beth has a shop where she makes awesome project bags, and that is what is currently holding my fleur shawl and my slip rib hat. So this was a project bag that I got from Amy a while back. Super fun. This is in her sweater size. But love Amy Beth. The last episode we watched, Justin and I just died hysterically laughing. Amy Beth has a lot of funny snippets to share, and she's just a really, really amazing crafter and maker and super fun. Another one is Kathy of Whatnot. She has an amazing podcast. She's the one that I bought all of the goodies from, and she sent some fun things for the shop, or for the podcast rather. And beautiful maker. She is working on a watercolor painting for us, and it's of two adorable little birds. And super excited to get that, and can't wait to see what else Kathy makes that I can try and buy from the shop. Like I said, she's an amazing Australian maker. She is a partial quadriplegic, I believe, if I'm saying that correctly. So she is an amazing maker and kind of showcases and highlights her difference and her disability and how that doesn't stop her from creating amazing things, and it certainly does not. She is fabulous. I love her, and definitely go out and watch Kathy's podcast. Follow her on Instagram too. She's also Whatnot there. Before I say that wrong, WHOTKNOT. Super fabulous. Another one that we watch all the time is The Grocery Girls, and that's Tracy and Jody, and they're hilarious. Jody recently discussed an unfortunate event where she was doing a little bit of, we'll say, maintenance, and there may have been a mole accident involved, which is a funny story. So I'll let her tell you that on the podcast, so certainly go and check out The Grocery Girls. Another one that we love to watch is Sweet Tea No Shade with Scott and John. They're a fabulously witty married couple and make a lot of great things. And I do have to say they're mildly obsessed with Angela Lansbury, and it's fun to see the different movies and things that they can find that Angela is in, and definitely go and check out their podcast as well. They're really great guys. Needles at the Ready with Ray and Kevin are another one of our favorite podcasts to watch. They're out of Stratford, Connecticut. Another really great set of guys that are highlighting the men in the industry, or those who identify as men. They have a really great kind of make craft along going on right now that's for the boys, which I think is a really fun initiative as well. And then one other thing that we've started watching is the Wool Patch, which is kind of new to me. Justin just found it, and I believe they're out of the UK, and they have sort of a YouTube channel centered around their store and sort of crafting and things that they've got going on there. Another one, if you're really interested in sewing or quilting, is Jordan Fabrics. Donna Jordan has an amazing quilting, sewing channel on YouTube. Really helpful, awesome tutorials, and shows off some of her thought process behind choosing colors and fabrics and textures and patterns, and how she combines them to create these amazing quilts. And definitely check her out if you're interested in the sewing and quilting. And then another one is So Very Easy, and that is Laura. She's a Canadian maker and has fabulous tutorials on sewing, so if you're interested in kind of diving down that crafty route, certainly check out those YouTubers. They've got great channels and super helpful videos and tips and tricks, and that's where I've learned a lot of my, I guess, I don't want to say faults, but I've learned how to make half square triangles properly, or appropriately. Half square triangles are a little tricky in that they're made with fabric, and when you cut them, the grain of the fabric is actually on a bias. So you have to kind of be careful of how you iron or press, because it can actually throw your block off and get it all wonky and sort of misshapen. And then sewing is one of those things where it's compounding, where if you have one little unit that's off and you sew it to another unit that's off a little bit, even though they themselves separately are off just a tiny amount, the more you compound that, your block might be wonky or crazy, and it's just, again, one of those little tips and tricks YouTube channels. Love watching both of those, and it's really helping me kind of hone in my sewing and quilting and patchwork skills. So definitely check out those two ladies. They have great channels. And that kind of brings me to my Ravelry group news and a fun make-along, craft-along that I want to highlight. So for our 3,000 subscriber giveaway, which I will be pulling 3 winners for that this week. Thank you to everyone who entered. It's been absolutely wonderful seeing your projects and reading all of the different comments about things that bring you pride and bring you joy. We hosted a giveaway where one of the requirements was kind of centered around the Pride Month, which was June, and it was, show off projects that bring you pride, talk about things that bring you pride and joy, whether you're making them or gifting them, or even new techniques or things that you're learning. And it's been really amazing to read through all of those, and there was about 200 entries, and so I'll be pulling winners and announcing them in Ravelry, and then I will private message all of the winners and make sure that I get their addresses and send out the packages. So if you haven't already, join the Ravelry group and kind of see all the fun things that are going on there. There's a finished object thread and an introduce yourself thread, and one thing that I want to kind of kick off for the month of July is kind of a play on Christmas in July. So I know not everybody celebrates Christmas, but I thought it would be fun to kind of get started on gifting projects for the holiday season, or even just to kind of add to your gift piles. And I know that I'm one of those people that usually ends up waiting until November or late October to start all of my gift knitting and gift crafting, and I'm going to try and get a handle on that this year, so hold me to it. So I want to do a gift miss or gift craft along, a gift miss in July, and I want to do kind of a crafty make along. So whether it be sewing, crocheting, knitting, any other needlecraft, painting, whatever you want, we'll title it a make along, a gift miss in July make along, and that will run July 1st through September 1st, and then I'll draw prizes and highlight some of the fun things that people share on that as well. So that's a super fun and exciting one that I'm excited to kind of kick off. And there's definitely a few projects that I have in mind that I want to make for people this year for the holidays that I am going to be making along with you guys. I will not be entering, but I can't wait to see all the stuff that you guys enter in the gift miss in July make along. And kind of along the lines of that, I'm going to share a little bit that we have kind of planned with the Etsy shop. There's a really fun, awesome kind of collection of bags that I'm excited to share with you guys. So I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. I wanted to create bags that were really fun and super simple. So not a lot of pattern, really just neutral as far as colors and patterns, but really highlighting in textures. So this bag is made with canvas and linen as the bottom, and I have 8 different colors that will be in the shop, 3 different sizes. So this is the shawl size, and so all of the bags are the same with the gray tops and the colored bottoms. So like I said, there's 8 different colors, and this is kind of a sneak preview of July's shop update. But so there will be the shawl size, the sweater size, and the sock size in these. So you can see the texture a little bit better. This is a really fun gray linen blend on the top, and then a nice plain solid canvas on the bottom. And then it's got a really fun matching zipper, and then the inside of the handle is the same matching canvas bottom. And just, I thought it would be really fun, simple bag line. again, combine some of my favorite things, which is gray with a pop of color. And they're all lined with a unbleached muslin, so super simple. Have these great little pulls. But yeah, that's a kind of a sneak preview of some of the bags that we're going to be having in the shop. Like I said, there will be 8 colors, and then I'm also going to have sort of in conjunction with that, a shop update with a couple of fun prints as well. And that'll be sometime around July 19th, so check back on Instagram and Ravelry for those. And then I'll have another podcast recorded in about 2 weeks, and then hopefully I'll have all of the bags to kind of show off and highlight then. But we were able to raise about $100 for June's charity, which was Fierce, and that is a nonprofit organization headquartered out of New York City, and it's aimed at supporting and educating and fostering LGBTQ youth, specifically youth of color in New York City. And so we were super excited to be able to donate that money to that charity and organization, and Justin has kind of stepped up and said that whatever the shop raises and donates to charities, he wants to match. So with his match, we were able to donate about $100 to that organization, and it's super fun and exciting to be able to spread the love and share some nonprofits and charities with you guys, and be able to help, especially now during the COVID-19 crisis. I know a lot of organizations that do a lot of great community work are sort of struggling with funding, and anything that we can do to help them out and carry out their great missions is amazing. So we haven't picked a charity yet for June, but I'll be able to announce that in the next podcast. So if you guys have any recommendations, by all means, let me know. There's a lot of me talking in this week's podcast. I hope to have some fun weaving projects to share with you next time. I thought I was going to be able to get it wrapped up. I'm looking at my loom. Thought I was going to be able to get it wrapped up for this podcast, but I'll for sure be able to have it done next week, or in the next podcast. And then, yeah, maybe we can get Justin and convince Justin to make an appearance on the podcast as well. I tried to get him to come on this week, but it's okay. He doesn't want to steal my spotlight. Just kidding. Maybe next time. But yeah, really excited to be able to share some of these projects and get back on the swing of things with you guys. Like I said, we've been doing a ton of sewing, and yeah, the summer is kind of busy all around, and still trying to keep our distance and social distancing. And we have gone by my parents a few times, and we had a social distance cookout for the 4th of July, which is the Independence Day holiday here in the United States. So we went to their house yesterday and watched some fireworks. And then we did have a friend over for a social distance dinner a couple weeks ago, and other than that, we've still been kind of keeping those guidelines and rules, and always wearing masks. It's the easiest and simplest thing that we can do to help protect others and help slow the spread of this. A lot of states are seeing increases in numbers and hospitalizations and cases, so just wear a mask. It's super simple and easy, and if you can't wear a mask, that's understandable, but if you can, please do so. So there's my little mask PSA, but yeah, super excited. Hopefully, leave a comment down below or a thumbs up. If the sound is better, let me know. I believe I've kind of figured out and ironed out those kinks with the sound issues. Again, technology, man. I am the worst millennial when it comes to technology, so by all means, let me know. And I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and I am excited to share some fun new projects that I've got going on with you next time. And again, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week. So I will see you next time. Bye-bye.